African Americans, 13%, maybe 54 million, right? If these abilities you keep naming, that you can build a country like America, you can invent all the things. Why the people from whom you came, why are they not doing it?
Because they don't got the same pedigree as the black people in America are the richest black nation on earth. We're the most successful black nation on earth. We can't leverage resources like they do in Africa. I'm
asking about the ability for you to do the things he listed. Why are they not doing them on the continent? If it's
I can't speak of the continent. I can only speak about black Americans in this country. Like this is what we did in this country with less resources, with less, and we still accomplished more than anybody in the diaspora.
Conservative Cipher, where we separate what's being said from what's the actual truth. Let's break it down. And today, you're dealing with your boy Sazo. Appreciate you for being here. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. And today we're getting into Adonis Live. Great channel. Big shout out to him. All right. And this video is basically reacting to Africans, Black Americans, not African American listening. And it's a lot of rigmarole, a doozy, but let's take it step by step and get into it here now. All right. Thanks for watching.
How you guys feel about FBA and them denouncing their African ancestors? I find it so disrespectful. Like, I know the majority of African Americans are very proud of their African ancestry, acknowledge that their ancestors come from Africa, but also acknowledge the fact that African Americans have built their own black culture in America. Nobody's taking.
Stop. First, this is.
I don't think. What's the problem with what she said? What's wrong with what she said? Let's get into it.
This is right here. This is like reverse psychology on a whole nother level on how she's trying to handle this. I find this so disrespectful. I know African Americans. I thought we were all African American. Why are you? FBAs. They say they're not African American. Why now you're saying like you're making a delineation between that now, but you're trying to use it to your actual point. So I'm not understanding. Are FBAs African American, or are they just Black Americans? And secondly, African Americans did not create their own culture in America. They adapted to Black American culture. You have to understand the difference. And this is what I've been saying. And I'm trying my best. I'm just a host. So I'm just trying my best to make you understand. There's a difference between African Americans, because when people say African Americans, they're thinking about the Jesse Jackson. In the 1980s, this guy named Jesse Jackson made this term popular, which went global itself. But that can be the same used as the people who are from Africa who migrated to America in the last 3 generations. They're technically African American. They did not create the culture that is what is now called Black culture. That was the Black Americans. And you have to understand the difference in the 2 different bloodlines and the difference between the 2 different generations. African Americans did not create anything. Black Americans did, and when the Africans migrated over, Black Americans accepted the African Americans and associated and African.
Imagine. Whoa. That's interesting. That's a lot. You said a lot. So African Americans and Black Americans are 2 different things. I get what he's trying to say there. He's trying to say that African Americans are Africans who migrated, not naturalized or not born here, migrated from Africa. Well, some, right? In the last few generations, they didn't build nothing. They didn't contribute to anything which is considered to be Black American culture, which is kind of you have to prove that. I don't believe that. I'm sorry. It just doesn't make any sense. Like you're saying, in the last generations of Africans migrating to the America, they didn't contribute to the modern day African American culture. That seems, I mean, that's saying a lot. You know, I don't know how could you claim that? I mean, what evidence do you have that nobody who been here for generations has contributed to the culture? And Black American culture is, you know, partially, I mean, okay, let's say after slavery, right? After slavery, when Black people were set free from slavery, that's where they say that FBA culture started. In slavery and after slavery, that's considered to be FBA culture, or the FBA lineage, not the culture, but the lineage. It's not a culture, it's It's a lineage. So it starts there. So where did it come from? Because the people who went through slavery were African. I mean, I don't know. If I'm wrong, let me know. People, if you're descendants of slaves, foundational Black Americans who are descendants of slaves or slavery in America, the people who were slaves were African. So that's kind of rather confusing for me for right now. But let's go.
Let me get my opinion at them because this is wild. Here we go.
Taking that away, like we know it is your own Black culture. Yes, some of that Black culture,
and it's not really completely 100% Black culture. A lot of Black people who were slaves and free men occupied the South, and a lot of their culture were influenced from Eastern Europeans. Say the Irish have a lot of African American culture, has a lot of traits from Eastern Europeans,
and some of the subcultures,
and African culture as well, and some other cultures that they grew with.
Of the Black culture in America has roots on the continent of Africa, as we know, especially in places like New Orleans, especially in places like Louisiana. Is Louisiana and New Orleans the same place? I don't know.
Yeah, Creole, Geechee Gully, I would say that's African. Not Creole, but Creole I think is more French, but the Geechee Gully, I think, Geechee Gullah, they're more African, traditional.
But you guys know what I'm saying, right?
You have an iPhone in your hand and you can't do the due diligence to know if Louisiana and New Orleans is the same place. For the people who don't know, Louisiana is a state and New Orleans is a location inside of that state. All right, I'm just letting you know. All right, just like
I think, come on, bro. I think we understand what's the difference. She's obviously not from America.
Let's just clarify, but how can you talk in these situations and not know exactly what you're talking about? And this is one of the issues. You're not qualified, shorty.
I hate when people say that. You're not qualified to talk. You're not qualified to talk. Like, you can't talk and be wrong. That's the whole point. You can talk and be wrong. There's nothing wrong with being wrong.
This conversation, just off the fact that you don't even.
But since you're wrong, you shouldn't participate in a conversation. That is a real leftist liberal mindset.
Know that Louisiana is a state itself, but okay, and I know you're saying, oh, but it doesn't matter. It does matter because Louisiana is the only country. It's a country technically. It is not a state. For people who know the history of Louisiana, knows that Louisiana was bought through the Louisiana Purchase. It was its own particular country. A lot of people keep forgetting the history of America, but these people don't know the history of America, and they just talk from a emotional perspective. But hold on, I'm gonna get my opinion.
Louisiana's a country? What? Not right now. You talk about in the past. Louisiana was a country. I don't know about that, how accurate that is. But if I'm wrong, I beg to differ.
Then hold on.
So I'm aware of that this African American culture is a standalone culture that you guys have created. But never in a million years would I thought there'd be a group of people that absolutely, completely denounce being African at all. Especially when you're out here looking at whole Senegalese, like it just doesn't make sense.
You got motherfuckers who's Kenyan in the face. Straight Senegalese in the face. I think I did. And you say, I'm not African. It's in your blood, my brother. You're sounding like a place I don't want to even call a name, who don't believe in DNA, who don't take they 21 and what is it? 21 and Me is banned and outlawed in that country. Why? You gotta think about it. Because people are denouncing their true history. There's no Game of Thrones for FBA. Nothing goes past slavery. That's absolutely mad. That's you actually lacking knowledge of self and who you are. Now, if people say this generation is doomed, what about the next generation who believes that their history starts at slavery? That's crazy.
And then how could you disrespect the very people who are responsible for our freedom today?
How can you disrespect the very people who are responsible for your freedom today? The Black Americans are the people who are responsible for your freedom today.
Were they Black Americans want to do the Civil? Were they Black Americans do the Civil War? They were technically Americans at that time. Okay. All right. Well, I mean, I don't know. People, and to be honest, like people of yesteryear are not the same as people of today. These people of today just different, man. Different. And to say that, like it's just coming off crazy. Like the world looks up to African Americans. We can't take that away from African Americans. I'm African American myself. Um, you can't first generation Liberian slash Senegalese, not Senegalese, Ivory Coast, not Ivory Coast, Sierra Leone. So the world always looked up to African Americans and always held African Americans in a high regard, I would say. But in the past, now, since a lot of things has been changed, a lot of the culture, a lot of the image and the likeness of the African American people have been bought and sold by non-African Americans. I would say the image and the likeness, the worldview of African Americans is not good. It's not good. Everybody sees it. It's trash. It's not a good look for African Americans on the world stage right now. I'm telling you.
Not the African Americans. Like, you don't understand the history of it, what is. And it is a combination of African Americans and Black Americans, but it was the efforts from the Black Americans that actually inspired the African Americans who migrated over to join in this particular union. Now, I think it's
Yeah, I can agree with that, of course. Marcus Garvey, the movement that he Pan-Africanism, I'm sure that was inspired by African Americans, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, a whole bunch of Africans inspired the world. But it's not like that today. That's the whole thing. It's not like that today. The world sees how African Americans treat intellectuals and uplift imbeciles. That's what's represented on the world stage as of today. The disrespect that African Americans have for those who came before them, the elders, the adults. People see it. Just like you can say the inspiration of all these great things that African Americans have accomplished. You cannot tell me that there are not African Americans rolling around in their grave right now based upon what's going on today. You got to take the good and the bad.
I'm gonna get my opinion. Let me get my opinion at the end. Just give me a second. I just want to get to the bottom of her point. Here we go.
Like, I can't fathom ever disrespecting the motherland.
Whose motherland? Like, when you say the motherland, like, this is what I'm saying. Like, whose motherland? My mother's land is the United States of America.
I mean, it could be true. You do look a little bit mixed. So, nah, that's a pot shot. I'm just joking. I mean, I understand your history. Your history doesn't begin at slavery. I think that's the whole point of the matter. Your history does not begin at slavery. Your culture was wiped away by your enslavers. You speak the King's English. You have a slave name. That's the crazy part about it. That's why everybody's looking at like, what's the matter with these people? The culture is completely shifted. African Americans don't necessarily have the culture that they came from. It's like, to a certain extent, you don't have the culture you had 50 years ago, 100 years ago. I remember Cosby Show, A Different World. Where is that? Hits on the Street. Where is that? Good Times. Where is that? That's not the culture of today. Those traditions is not what's going on today. Those rules and regulations aren't what's going on today.
My grandmother?
I would say a lot of men have embraced feminism, the feminism that, I don't want to get into all of that, but
this land is the United States of America. And I know you're talking about, it's symbolic for all people coming from Africa. You don't do that to white people, Caucasians, Italians, or you don't do that.
What are you talking about? Like, you act like white people don't know where they come from. You never watched Game of Thrones, my nigga? Like, you talking about American history. You don't know how the white people pilgrimaged from UK, certain parts of the world, all over the world, that came and made this country settled on these lands and made the country called America.
Why does it only apply to Black Americans? Why does it always apply to, like, stop with the double standard? Like, really make it, I'm gonna get my opinion at it. Hold on. I'm trying, chat. I'm trying. I'm so sorry. I'm trying. But
it
like,
doesn't apply to just
try to understand my opinion. For the people who are not Black American, who are watching this, trust me, you can't imagine how infuriating this is to me. Like, it gets under my skin on a low, because it's like, yo, how hard is it to understand lineages and bloodlines and tribes in America? How hard is it to do a little bit of
What
history on the
lineage?
people that you're talking to?
What lineage, bloodline, and tribe in America? What tribe are you from in America? I don't understand it. You don't understand it. You don't even know what you're talking about right now, Adonis. Bloodline? What? If it really goes down to your DNA, where's you? What are you telling me? Your DNA starts at slavery? It doesn't make any sense. Your DNA starts with redlining? It doesn't make any sense.
Stop trying to monolithically put all black people into one particular union. How hard is it?
And that's the crazy part about it. That's exactly the opposite of what they're saying. All black people are not the same. All black people are not from the same place, from the same tribe. They don't have the same customs, traditions, or culture. Now America, since America is a nation, which America is a beautiful country, beautifully built. I appreciate being here in America. But all black people not the same, man. Just like all white people not the same, all Spanish people not the same, all Mexican people not the same.
To do that, and once you understand the tribes and the lineages of each culture, it's very easy for you to understand how this doesn't make sense and how this can make somebody very infuriated, you know. But it's just, I'm gonna get my pen at the end. Hold on.
And as Jamaican as I am, and as patriotic as I am, I absolutely love being Jamaican. I am so proud to be an African. I'm so proud to have my ancestry. I'm so proud to be of maroon descent and have so much African DNA. I'm just so confused how you...
Exactly. You're so confused. Like, I'm so proud to be African. I'm so proud. Yo, shorty, you can be African. There's no problem with you being African. But just let you know, just a little history lesson. Like, Africa wasn't originally called Africa. And you being called African was a title that was given to you by a whole bunch of white people. So you saying, I'm so proud to be African, is basically saying, I'm so proud to be a Hausa.
That's mutual. That's the whole point. That's mutual. Don't you see how that's relevant for, I guess, both of y'all? Where do you think the title America came from? We know where the title America came from. At least Africa has. Who knows how they got the name Africa? I think it's from Africanus or something like that. I don't specifically remember off the top of my head, but I heard the history before. But it's the same thing. It's the same notion. You're applying the same science. You're applying the same logic to what you're saying. It's the same logic. You don't have, you're given a culture. The culture that you say is your culture is not. It's not your culture. It's a culture that was given to you by your enslavers. And this is well documented in history, in American history. Thomas Sowell. Read the book, Black Rednecks and White Liberals. Read it. Goes into details where African Americans got the culture from and how the culture of just a few years ago is completely different from now.
You know, not saying African is, but like if you want to break down the nuance of historical references and disregard all the history of what we're talking about here, then okay, but you want us to agree to the terminology of saying African because African was given to you by a white man's name, not trying to be one of those, you know, Israelites. I'm not trying to do that. I'm just trying to make it as simple as possible because I sound like an Israelite right now. You're a white man. I'm not trying to do that. That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to explain history, you know, and history is very complex, you know. You don't have to be ashamed of being African, but when somebody's telling you, hold on, just let her finish. Let her lay her plate.
Denounce who you are. And I understand there's this like search for identity and meaning and wanting to be very grounded in your blackness, but that doesn't mean to completely denounce your ancestors and denounce who you are with all that they went through. And I keep seeing multiple different arguments about the ships and
what ancestors went through anything. What are you talking about?
Now, to say this is coonish behavior would be ad hominem attacks. But now it's like you're saying things never happened to happen. And this is specifically Black American history. Slavery, chattel slavery, the ships, the slave ships, the slave masters, white, Black, and Native American slave masters, because all of them owned slaves in America. You might be a descendant of a slave master, to be honest. But this is, I know, I took a little bit of time on this one. Big shout out Adonis, the other TikTok creator. I think her @ was in the video as well. So you could just definitely hit her up. Show us the support. Show Adonis some support too. It's a great video. It's definitely emotional. But to be in all seriousness, I mean, there is no Game of Thrones for FBA. I'm out.